Oh, I see
That's just what
it.
it's. Yeah.
That is crazy. We're getting
Okay, it looks
nervous
like we
now.
are in live. So, um, good afternoon, everyone. As you can tell, I'm not Nikesha Williams. I am Nakia Barksdale, standing in for Nikesha. Such a delight, as always, to step in where I'm needed and to give a hand for Nyla Today Enterprise. And as you all know, every weekend we feature a STEMsation, a woman in tech or a woman who is doing some work in STEM or pursuing some work in STEM. And so it is my pleasure to introduce to everyone Jennifer Opal. And I,
Hi.
yes, I've been chatting with her briefly before we started the broadcast. And so I'm going to go ahead and jump right in because I know Jennifer's excited to share some information, and we'll go ahead and get started. So, Jennifer, our audience wants to know, who is Jennifer Opal? What is your background? What are you doing? Who's Jennifer? Where are you? Just give us a brief background.
Well, yeah, Jennifer Opal is me. I was born and raised in London. I'm currently in London now. It's 9 o'clock. The weather's awful, but it's London. But yeah, I have been pursuing tech for just over a year. I first got introduced to coding last year in October, being taught how to code by Code First Girls, which is a social enterprise in the UK, aiming to bring more women into the world of tech and interested in careers in technology. And I'm one of those women that was really fascinated by the power of code. And from that point onwards, I really pursued learning how to code. And at the moment, I'm part of a coding program with Code First Girls and also with a telecommunications company called BT Group. And they are one of the largest telecommunications company in the world. And myself and 29 other women are learning how to code intensely, full time, Monday to Friday for free. And at the end of it, it's a 3 month program. And at the end of the program, we'll all have an opportunity to become junior software engineers, which is really, really exciting.
I think this is awesome. I think it's really great. I'm just going to go keep moving on with our questions. And why did you choose your career, or why did you become interested in coding and a background in STEM?
I've always been interested in tech. That's what's so strange is that growing up, it was just me and my brothers. I was surrounded by loads of boys, and we were always watching, sci-fi cartoons growing up, Power Rangers, Transformers, things like that. But I never knew that there was a door available for a woman to enter that industry. And I didn't know the power of what coding is. I was never educated on that. Um, Even down to school, high school, I was never told about computer science. To be honest with you, I didn't find out about computer science until about 2, maybe 3 years ago. Prior to that, I've never heard of it, didn't know what it was. Um, but once I found out and discovered coding and realized the power of what it can do, I really want to be a part of it. Not just in terms of the change that it's doing. If you think about the power of tech in healthcare, the power of tech in Africa, in parts of Africa, in terms of trying to change lives and
Right.
trying to make lives easier and things like that. I really want to be a part of that industry, and it's growing, and I really want to be in the mix.
Okay. And I know prior to us getting started, we chatted briefly, and you shared that you were initially a part of or a previous program where you had 8 weeks and you built a website in 8 weeks. Like, share, because
Yeah.
you were so excited. So, kind of share some of that excitement and some of that feeling with us.
Do you know what? It was really amazing. When I applied for the course, I didn't really know what to expect, and it was literally just 2 hours a week for 8 weeks. We went in and were learning HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Those are programming languages that you need to build a website. And we're learning all of those skills. And suddenly you start to see the picture start to build. You're learning one thing and you go on to the next thing, and it's adding and it's building into a project. And it's really exciting at the end of it to see, wow, I built this. We built this in just 8 weeks. And if you can learn something like that in such a short amount of time, you can only imagine what you can accomplish in even more time than that.
Right. Just tell us a little bit more about what do you currently do, Jennifer, in terms of, are you currently involved in tech, or is it just basically this program and then you're hoping to enter into a career in tech?
At the moment, I'm a part of this program. I'm also working on building a blog to try and inspire more young women to enter the world of tech. Even though I'm not officially in a working role in tech, I am wholeheartedly pursuing it. I still feel that as somebody learning to code with such major organizations, I can say that I am a woman in technology. And the experiences that I've gained and the people that I've met and encouragement that I've received as well to learn this new skill. It's really been amazing. It really, really has. And I just hope that from what I've got, I can share that and I can continue to bring others in, because we are needed in the tech industry. There's such a shortage of Black women, Black men, women of color in the industry. So I'm hoping that I'll use my experience in order to bring that in. But it's literally a matter of weeks and I'll be a junior software engineer, and I'm really excited about that position.
That's exciting, I'm sure. Tell me, what really attracts you, or what do you really like most about, the whole idea of even just having a career or building a career in tech?
I think at the moment it's being part of a change, being part of a change. I think that at the moment, if you look at the statistics in technology, it's 86% white male and only 14% female. I couldn't even find a statistic of the proportion of Black women in tech. But last I heard, I believe it's about 2 to 5%. So I'm enjoying the fact that I'm a part of a movement, I'm a part of a change, and that I'm part of the community in technology where our voices are being heard and we're being recognized and understood that we have a place, there's a voice for us, and organizations are starting to hear us and be like, yes, like we need to listen, we need to be able to cater to Black women, we need to be able to cater to women of color, and we have to represent. Each organization is now starting to understand that as more women of color are coming in, that they have to reflect that in their organization, and also in the roles that they're offering to people. They have to be able to reflect the modern society. So it's really a privilege to be able to be a part of that change.
Right. I agree with you. I do a radio show on Saturdays here.
Oh, wow.
And it's really interesting because yesterday I did my show on diversity within the medical profession, because it's a medical show. And so across, and if you look at it from the perspective of STEM, a career in some medical capacity is technically considered a STEM career, as far as being a doctor or a nurse or something like that. It's still a part of I would say, the STEM curriculum or the STEM programs and careers and so forth. So yeah, and I talked about that because that was an experience that someone else had as a doctor, a minority doctor, and he felt like he was the only Black doctor on the staff, and there was a disconnect between the patient and the non-African American doctor. And so yes, I think across all, I will agree with you, across all STEM professions, I think minorities are underrepresented, and I think it's always excellent to find minorities who are pursuing or who have taken interest in, especially like yourself, tech. I think it's excellent. I always, every time I hear someone who is pursuing a career in some type of STEM capacity, I'm always asking them, what made you interested in that area? Why are you pursuing it? And I'll ask the question, what can I do to help you, to continue that effort? So I'm gonna keep it going. I'm gonna move on to our next question. What would you change about your career, if there was anything, or even just the idea. And I know, you will talk one about, making sure that there were more minorities involved in a STEM profession. But if there's anything else about STEM, what would you change? Positive, negative, what would you change?
I think it's the perception. I'd love to change the perception. I think growing up, even in school, we were kind of taught that we weren't necessarily told that there was a place for us in STEM. It was normally directed towards people that weren't black, or that weren't of color. It's kind of, whether it was at fault or not, STEM kind of created an image where it was exclusively for white male predominantly white male positions. And I want to be able to be a part of something where they can kind of educate young kids to say it's not just white men here. We do need people of color, and we need their knowledge in these industries. But yeah, the perception is really important. If young people, even for myself, if I'm not seeing an example of someone like myself in technology, how could you expect me to enter that industry? And I think that as I've started to learn more about tech and be introduced to more women that are pursuing tech, and women of color specifically, is when I started to realize there is a place for me. But I wish there was more examples of people that were higher up and successful in technology to be able to be that inspiration for the next generation to be able to say, I have a place in tech.
Right. Okay. Do you have any tips or advice to young women of color, or just people of color, how they can go about, pursuing a career in tech or a field in tech? What would be some of the tips, some of the advice, even just from your own experience, starting out? Because I know, as I mentioned before our live broadcast, we were just chatting briefly, and you said you just happened to hear about the program and decided to get involved. And so, some advice that you can share, perhaps seeking out on their own those types of experiences or opportunities.
Yeah, I think that if you are interested in learning how to code, there are so many platforms online, so many platforms that you can access even for free. There's been many testimonies from people that have learned how to code on their own and gone into, getting into a job in technology. I would suggest websites such as Free Code Camp, so freecodecamp.org. They teach you all the skills that you would need. It's literally a breakdown. You're building a website, you're building projects, you're building a portfolio, and they're teaching you how to code 100% for free. Another one, if you wanted to, for anyone that has children, you can also go to code.org. They have coding games. So you're learning how to code, but you don't realize that even though it's a game simulation, it's actually teaching you skills that you would need to learn how to code. Really simple things like the if-else statement or languages and things like that, functions, and they're breaking it down in ways that a child can understand. And if a child can understand it, I think that you can understand it as well. So I think it's something that you can do with yourself and your child, if you do have kids. Another example would be Raspberry Pi. If you have a child, or even for yourself, if you're interested in what technology can do with robotics, you can order a Raspberry Pi with a P-I, no E at the end. And there's a strange name for a piece of technology, but it's literally a computer that's at the size of your hand.
But it's still a part of science, it's still science.
But it's really, really cool. I've heard some incredible things of people that have built robots and vehicles with that device, and I think it cost about 25 to 50 pounds. I'm not sure what that is in dollars, but it's a really, really incredible piece of technology. But yeah, I would definitely look into that. maybe looking to go into some events as well. There's events in the US called Afrotech, which only launched in the UK as well a few years back. But Afrotech is a really good event to go to. You don't need to be working in tech to be a part of that, but it's a great way to enter that community and get some advice from people and then get some wisdom from them to know what tech can offer you. And lastly, for anyone that isn't really interested in coding and wants to be more on the creative side, you can look into doing UX or UI design. UX standing for user experience and UI standing for user interface. You don't need to learn how to code for that, but it helps in terms of building website for customers, and it's a job role that is in huge demand in the UK, and I believe it is so in the US also. So UX and UI, if you don't want to learn how to code, is a really good creative role to have in tech.
All right, perfect. Those are great tips and advice. So what are now that you are a part of this great program, just looking forward, because you'll be done in just a few weeks. So kind of looking forward, what are your future goals? What do you plan to do with the knowledge, the skill, the experience that you're getting?
There's so many interesting things in tech. What I love about being a part of it is that there's no door that you can't go through. If I wanted to learn about robotics, I could. If I wanted to learn about artificial intelligence, or if I wanted to learn about data or build a website, I can go into any of those avenues. And I want to explore what that has to offer me first. There's so many things that's like, oh my God, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. And I hope that I really get the chance to really explore and know what it can do for me. At the moment, robotics is a really interesting thing. I'd love to learn more about robotics. And also look at taking those skills back to my home country, which is the Democratic Republic of Congo. I would love to take it back there. There's a lot of children, 52% of the children under the age of 12 are not in education and can't afford education. And I would love to create a platform where I can teach them hands-on practical skills, such as robotics. And they can use that to create a change in Congo. There's a lot going on over there, but I really hope that I'll be able to introduce technology and introduce coding or robotics to children out there who really need to learn about that skill set and better their futures.
I think that would be great. That's an excellent insight or sight out for your future and something that you would plan to accomplish. I think it's excellent. I'm going to keep moving. Yes, that's excellent. No, seriously, anytime I'm always inspired when I hear individuals say that, they want to go back to their hometown, they want to inspire, they want to, work with the youth and build programs and platforms. And I think particularly your area where you're from is very important, because we talk about demographics as far as gender, we look at demographics as far as, the color of our skins and so forth, but we also need to consider, demographics actually as far as location, and where, the skill set is lacked and how what you're learning as far as tech can actually go to a particular country, a particular place, and make that place more progressive just based on the skill that you're learning. You have an opportunity to go back and turn a whole entire community into something completely different just based on a skill set of tech that you're learning, and I think that's great. As far as being a woman of color in STEM, what do you think some of the stigmas are or would be as a woman in STEM, that you think women experience or you feel like you may experience just being a woman in STEM?
At the moment, in terms of me entering tech at the moment, I've only ever really been surrounded by women. I think because of the program that I'm on, I'm very comfortable. I haven't felt that stigma as of yet. I'm surrounded by women of different sexualities, different faiths, different ethnicities. So I'm in my comfort zone. But I would say that a lot of people that I have spoken to that are working in tech, they feel that they can't be themselves. It's difficult to be 100% your authentic self when there's no one around you that looks like you to be able to kind of bounce off of. And I feel that. I mean, I would say because I came from a completely different industry before I even entered tech. I came from a finance background. And with my finance background, there was no representation of women of color in senior positions. I didn't meet anybody. So it's difficult in that sense to be able to use that. So for me to be able to use the stigma in tech would be difficult for me to say. But I would like to be able to say that hopefully when I do get to that stage where I am working in tech, that I can just be myself regardless of how other people might feel. I am who I am. I am a Black woman. I'm an African woman. And it's a part of who I am. And I think that people need to understand that. Some of them don't open their eyes to realizing that, you know, not that we're not always, in terms of our culture, we're not the same. But you always, if you're open to learning about my culture, I'm also open to learning about yours. But I think the most important thing is to just be your authentic self. Because if you're not your authentic self, whether it be in the workplace or outside of it, you will never be yourself and you will struggle to find your identity, and you don't want to lose your identity to make somebody else feel comfortable. You want to be who you are, and you want people to understand who you are as a person, whether it be in the world of in the working industry, in the working place of tech, but also in other working places also.
Right. As they say, own who you are. Be who you are, own who you are. And that way, no matter what, like you say, what setting, what atmosphere, regardless of the career, the setting, or whatever, you are for who you are. And it will be respected, more received, I think. And then there's not that pressure of maintaining something, an identity that you pretended, as far as definitely going back to, tech, or just being a minority woman in STEM, or a woman of color in STEM. I think it's very important, to own who you are, own your experience that you have, the skill that you have, because I think once you walk into a setting where you are actually the minority in that setting, being a woman of color, you will be respected. You kind of demand that. So I think it's very important.
100%.
So, yeah. As far as your family, how does your family feel about, this whole new journey that you're on as far as pursuing, a tech background and so forth? What has been their perception?
They've been incredibly supportive. Growing up, from an African household, we're always encouraged to be a banker, a lawyer, a doctor, those statement roles that your parents could talk about.
Right. Yeah, it's the most common career.
It's literally that. But you know what? I think technology and computer science was something that they'd never heard of growing up. And when I told my mother that I was pursuing tech, she was like, okay, whatever you decide to do, we'll see what happens. I don't know what it is, but whatever you decide to do, I'll support you. And my mom has been the biggest cheerleader for me. And being able to show her, I think a few weeks ago, we built a game, a rock, paper, scissors game. And, oh, sorry, there's a voice pop up there. A rock, paper, scissors game. It's okay. But yeah, we built a rock, paper, scissors game, and I finished the project and I took it home to my brothers and my mom, and I showed them just exactly what it is I was doing, and they were completely blown away. And once I showed them the code, they couldn't believe that all those different lines of code, I built that, and this was the result of it. And I think seeing that interactive way of building of what I'm actually doing really had them like, wow, you're really doing something, you're not wasting your life away. But it's really incredible. They've been 100% supportive of me not just my mother, but my younger brothers also. And I'm hoping that I'm inspiring my younger brothers to pursue what they have on their heart, whatever they want to do, whatever they want to pursue, whether it be in tech or outside of it. I hope that I'm teaching them that as an older sister, as an older sibling, that whatever they put their heart to and anything that they want, they can work hard for it and they will get there in
Right.
the end.
Perfect. We kind of talked about a little bit giving back. So can you expound? Do you have anything just a little more as far as, your vision for your learning, actually giving it back and what it would look like? And, how do you feel it will be received? Let's say if you do go back to your hometown, your home country, how do you think it will be received? And, kind of just the vision that you because I'm sure you've been thinking about it since all these wonderful experiences, from one course to another course, from one lesson to another lesson. And I know how it is when you're learning, you think you've learned it all in this session, and then you come back to another learning session and it's something completely new. And you're like, oh my God, this is great too. I can't wait to tell, just how do you feel like everything that you're doing, the contribution, even just to the contributing to the overall field of STEM. How do you feel like it will be received, or what is your vision?
I think that introducing robotics to back home in Congo will be very much well received. The Congo education is a really difficult thing for a lot of people to get access to. The quality of education isn't that great in a lot of areas, and you really have to have the finances to be able to get access to good quality education. But I think that hands-on practical skills to those that can't afford access to that education, I'd really think that it will be received really well. It's great that there's always a sense of community in Congo. Everyone knows everybody. In a city like that, everyone knows everybody. So I know that I already have good relations with a lot of people from my village, and in the family also. So I know that it'll be received really well, and I hope that in terms of, at the moment, there's a lot of government issues, and we have an election coming up in just a few weeks, and it's very difficult at the moment. So I'm not exactly sure when I'll be able to go back and introduce this skill set, but I hope that I will be able to do it with the support of not just the government, but also people of Congo as well, to support this new education, this new skill, to teach the next generation. But it really just does depend on the political environment. Technology is a very almost feared in some, depending on how it's used, it's quite feared in the country. So if I can, in my mind, I'm hoping that I can introduce it to them so they can know that they can use it in a positive way and help them understand what it means. But I would love to teach a whole bunch of kids of how to use it, and for them to teach their parents how to use it. It'll be incredible to be able to teach them how to code or teach them about Raspberry Pi and AI. It'd be amazing.
Right. I know there's a saying, and of course I'll probably mess it up. I won't get it correctly, but it says something about, if you want to build a country, you teach the child. And I think it says that because the child still has generations to come. The parent has already started. The parent has already begun their generations. They're done producing generations. And so you go to the children and you produce generations. So I think it's very important that we get to the children and we educate the children. And again, I think tech, because that's just, and I understand there are different stipulations in different countries. And like you mentioned, how tech is received, because in some countries it's the enemy, right? Because it's not used for the proper reasons. But I think, as I mentioned before, if you look at tech, it's just, this is where we are right now. Everything is in technology. there's always something that needs to be developed, the code that needs to be done so that we can move from one level to the next level now. We're not going backwards. We're definitely moving forward. And I think, I'm not sure if you recall if this is within your generation, but we're definitely moving into the Jetsons. Hey, you know, I just see us
100%.
flying around in cars and so forth. And it's really funny because I want to be able to say, hey, I knew Jennifer Opal. That's who created that flying vehicle. She wrote the code for that. I definitely want to be able to say that. So, or even to say that you were the mentor, the tech mentor who pioneered those efforts for the children of your home country. So I definitely think that's great.
Oh, thank you.
Last question, wrapping up. If you can tell your younger self something, give your younger self some advice. Now that you are in your future, you're actually living your future of your younger self. What would it be? And in the same regard, what would be that advice to another young person?
Ooh, I think I would tell her everything will work out fine and that all the challenges that she's faced will work out okay. And the experiences that she's gone through will inspire um, a lot of people. Um, Growing up in high school, I was bullied. I was bullied in high school. I'm also dyslexic and dyspraxic, and I also suffer from ADD. So learning difficulties, being bullied, not being a very confident person growing up, um, I I was almost quite. I felt I spent a lot of my teenage years trying to find my identity. But I think that I would tell the younger Jennifer that it's all going to work out okay, and you're going to find your passion, and you're going to make a change, and to not worry. And I hope that that's the same message for any other young girl.
I'm back.
Oh,
Okay. Can you hear me?
hi.
I don't know what happened. My computer completely went berserk. I
Oh
don't know what
no.
happened. Crazy.
Oh, it's
So I don't know.
okay.
Yeah, I don't know how much I missed, but Nikesha texted me and told me you were still talking. So that's good. I'm glad you kept Um, but all I heard was you telling your younger self something that it would be okay.
Yeah.
So let's finish that last question because Nikesha said you were still going, but just to make sure that our audience got it, just again as we wrap up the interview, and I appreciate you staying there until I got reconnected. But
Oh, it's okay.
just go ahead and tell us again your what you would tell your younger self and the advice that you would give some of the younger women of color.
Yeah. I was saying that in high school, I was bullied. I also have learning difficulties. I have dyslexia, dyspraxia, and ADD. So it was very difficult in high school growing up. To be honest with you, I didn't realize I had those learning difficulties until earlier this year when I was officially diagnosed with those difficulties. But high school was very much a challenge. And after high school, I struggled to find my identity. So I would say that after, if I was to speak to the younger version of myself, I would tell her that everything will work out okay, and that even though I was struggling to find my identity, struggling to know who I was, know what my passions were, I managed to find it. I'm now 28 years old, but I found my passion and a lot of trial and error. But I'm proud of the journey that I've taken through this, and it's never
Yeah,
too late to learn something new. Um, but yeah, I would tell her that everything will work out okay, and that my experience will inspire somebody else to know that despite the challenges that you face in life, you will overcome them, and you don't have to hold yourself prisoner to your circumstances. You can break those chains, and you can overcome those battles, and in time you will get there. But give yourself that time. But yeah, I would
right.
say that.
And you know, I think as you get older, you realize, you know, you have to always look forward. And so I think I can really appreciate you for giving that type of advice to young people overall. You know, like you say, you're 28, and even if you have some challenges, you're learning challenges, and so forth. The disability, learning disabilities, and so forth that you did not know about until later in life. And so now you realize, now that you know what those challenges are, what the struggle was. And so it's all about being patient with yourself, you know, and giving yourself
Exactly.
time to understand, right? And I think that's very important, especially, you know, hearing it from someone who's actually now finding a passion, you know, something that they're passionate about, and just looking forward to moving forward with that in the future. So definitely appreciate that advice to the young people.
Thank you.
I think it's wonderful, and I just wish you all the best. Good luck,
Thank
definitely,
you.
as you continue and progress and work through your program all the way to completion. Nikesha and I
Thank
would definitely
you.
we'll keep following you and just definitely stay in touch to make sure that you are continuing to pursue, you know, this future for yourself. It's very, I think it's very influential what you're doing, and will
Thank
inspire other women of color. So good luck to you. On behalf
thank
of
you so
Nyla
much.
Dene, yes, on behalf of Nyla Dene Enterprise, I thank you for taking the time out of your schedule and joining and talking with our audience today. Thank you so much, Jennifer.
It's okay. Is there any other? I was trying to read the questions, and I think someone had a question, but I couldn't understand it.
Oh, in the
I don't know.
comments, here,
Yeah, I'm not sure if.
uh, let me see if there was any questions that I can read them to you. Let me check my phone. I can look at them from my phone. So I'm having
I think
trouble
it was
logging
someone
in.
called Nate. Let me see.
Nakisha saying she think you answered it, but let me log in and see real quick.
Oh, did I answer it? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let me
he
see.
asked what classes would benefit a young woman the most, and I wasn't
Okay,
exactly sure of what they meant by classes.
okay.
I don't know if they meant in tech or anything else.
Probably in tech, because that's what we're talking about, I'm hoping. Yeah, because
Um,
I can't see the comments.
yeah, I think like in terms of the platforms that I mentioned, so code.org would be a great platform for any young girls that want to learn how to code. It's a really interactive way of learning how to code. Um, I think that would really give some confidence as well. I know that there's also a tech company run by a woman called Kimberly Bryant, Black Girls Code. You can look into that. They're teaching a lot of young girls how to code and bringing them into opening their eyes to the power of technology, and it's really changing lives. And I think she's been in the Forbes list as well, so she's really doing amazing things. So if you look into her, Kimberly Bryant for Black Girls Code, I'm sure that you'll probably find some events across the US where you can bring any young women out there. It's not just exclusive to Black girls as well. Any young girl of color, you can look into that. It'll be a great way for them to connect with other girls and socialize, build their confidence as well, and learn how to work with other people. There's a lot of teamwork when it comes to learning to code. You definitely will need. It's hard to learn how to code on your own, but it's much better when you have that support team around you. So I would
I'm
recommend that.
sure. Yeah, that's great. Okay, I think that covers it. So again, on behalf of Nyla Janae, we want to thank you for being this week's STEMsation. You were great. And again, we just wish you all
Thank
the best in
you.
your future endeavors. Yes, definitely. And as I mentioned, we're going to definitely stay in touch and kind
We
of follow
will.
you. Yes, follow you and encourage you if you need the encouragement, but definitely all the best to you, Jennifer. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Bye,
All
everyone.
righty. Bye. Take care.
Bye.